former prisoners of Reddit. What is something nobody tells you about being incarcerated that you had to learn on your own? Your word is everything. Breaking your word puts you roughly on par with a sex offender. You give your word on something, it needs to be gospel. Someone gives you theirs, assume it is too, and be ready to go if it isn't. It's not just worth fighting over, it's essential that you do. Everything is for sale, or at least has a market value. Sustained eye contact means you're starting crap. Someone makes it with you, assume they're sizing you up. Don't do anything for free, unless it's for someone you know. Because of Hollywood, I thought that prison had crap food and that guys just worked out all the time because they had nothing to do. But then my uncle got locked up for 6 years and gained 50 pounds and got diabetes. For me, the loss of everything outside of my body was the biggest shock. You have nothing they don't want you to have when you first go in, so in a way it's like being born into a new world, but fully aware. It's a steep learning curve to be sure, but truthfully, it isn't always cutthroat with nobody to trust. Sure, there are people to avoid, and if you have a decent cellie, they'll point them out, somewhat like Shawshank. I was in medium security for 6 months on credit card fraud, so I wasn't near any expected dangerous people anyway, but there were still the territorial guys you just were better off avoiding. Other than that, a lot of reading for me, learning some basic card tricks from my cellie, stuff like that. Not at all a desirable place to be emo. Goes to prison for credit card fraud, learns card tricks while in prison. Now this is someone who really focuses on excelling at one thing. A friend of mine did some time. He had internet, PlayStation and a chef made breakfast and dinner every day. They had to make lunch themselves with access to a full complimentary kitchen. Knives, cutlery and so on was freely available. They often went outside to shop groceries and some even went to work. Basically, the only thing was to stay away from the sex offenders. This was a medium security correctional facility in Norway. Remind me to go to Norway sometime. Current prisoner here, in the Philippines. Anything can be smuggled in if you pay the right guards, even prostitutes. Money equals power. You can get away with almost anything if you have enough money. I have a question as I've never been in jail and it's bugging me like heck. How do you acquire things? Books, money, weapons and such? You find them. They spawn randomly every day at certain spots. People also seem to just drop them from time to time. Some guards also hide them in some rooms. Been to a state prison in Ohio as a young skinny white dude. One of the most intimidating feelings I've ever felt, walking into a large building with 3 wings each filled to the brim with some scary mother suckers. Bunk beds, no cells. I learned very quickly to keep to myself. As you can imagine, there was always tension in the air. That imminent sense violence was hanging in the limbo. Grown men packed into a tight living quarters with only a couple things of commissary to your name breeds one heck of a hostile environment. I had a short stint but found myself constantly being aware of who and what was going on around me. There are as much drugs in prison as there are on the streets, but the price can be 10x as much. Tobacco wasn't allowed, but if you could get 1 pack of smokes in, it could be broken down into 3 roll-ups from each cig, and each roll-up sold for $5, meaning 1 pack could net you $300. There are gay men in prison who sell themselves for money or drugs. They would be very apparent as they would use certain things as blush or lipstick. Gambling is everywhere and I saw most dudes get in trouble because they would start incurring debt and couldn't pay it off. That's when they would heat up tomato soup in the microwave and throw boiling sticky soup on someone while they slept. Saw it twice. Envelopes and soups, ramen packets, were currency and prison is strictly racially divided. If you're there long enough you have to join. It was terrifying, but at the same time I meet some really interesting people and faced one of my greatest fears in life and came out the other side, all the while doing almost a social experiment as it unfolded. And the last thing I'll say is this. They say it's a rehabilitation center. That's complete bullcrap. I went in for having a large amount of herb, but while in there I learned the best methods to cook crack, how to counterfeit money, how to B&E without getting caught. Our incarceration system desperately needs change. This was just my experience. How to B&E without getting caught, from guys who got caught. My mum was in prison recently for about 3 months, and in that time 2 girls killed themselves, so I guess expect suicides. Sounds like a crappy prison. I work in a jail that's been built for nearly 10 years now, and only one guy successfully killed himself, and he died at the hospital. Summer vacations. Friend of mine was recently locked up during summer months. Because guards take vacation at the same time as everyone else, 3 days a week were spent on lockdown, meaning that 1-2 hours of outside time didn't apply due to staff shortage. He's out now, and very thankful for his freedom. That's really BS. Honestly, I think everyone should specify what country and what type of prison, because those are actually pretty freaking huge differences. From close experiences, the nicer Finnish prisons include work, getting paid for it, going to sauna, and probably sleeping in same room with someone who has killed someone and seems nice now. Rest of the time everyone gets ridiculous amounts of nice food and works out a lot. The so-called hardened prisons mostly seem to differ in that the prisoners are alone for longer times. The one thing that seems to be same in every story is that no one wants to start crap because it's just bad for everyone. I don't think the outside world realizes how racial prison life is. Even if you go into it with the most non-racial outlook, you better change that immediately or your life is in danger. I did a stint in Chino, California in 1999, and a black guy gave me a fish sandwich. I'm white, by the way, and next thing I know I'm being dragged into the back and assaulted by 3 other white guys. You don't play cards, make deals that involve open food, pretty much anything when it comes to races outside of your own. I didn't grow up with a racial outlook, so I didn't even see or notice these things, but I had to quickly to adjust. Psych ward. Everyone is crazy. You is crazy. That chick who's shanking you with a spiel cause you stole her soul. Crazy. The kid coloring with his blood. Crazy. The kid yelling how he's not crazy. Crazy. The kid who punched out someone for talking. Crazy. The kid who prefers solitude. Not as crazy but a little capybara. All in all, crazy isn't bad. It's a part of life. It's an emotion. You feel it. You live it. You learn from it and you move on. Also, padded cells and hug jackets are nice because you get a nice quiet air conditioned room and no one bothers you. Was in psych once. Was having a conversation with a marine. We'd been hanging out and doing puzzles for 2 days. We were bullshitting and hanging out, and all of a sudden he looks right into my soul and says, "Demons tell me to kill people." I had to learn that it didn't matter if I got beat up as long as I still stood up for myself. I came in fearing the inevitable knockout. I'm 5'4" and 125 pounds and not a fighter, but I'm also not a punk and I don't keep my mouth shut for nobody. But yeah, I eventually got my butt kicked. Out of the 8 fights while I was in there, I lost 6 of them, but even though I got beat up, people ended up respecting me. And there is nothing worse than total isolation from everything. Yeah, it might be calming for a day or 2, but after 30 days, you start to lose it. I also learned that it didn't matter if you started a fight or not. If you fight, you go to the hole if you get caught in Texas. For the most part, it's not like you see in TV and movies. Don't start crap, but be willing, able to defend yourself, if need be. Keep to yourself and don't stand out in any way. This also means don't be the funny guy that makes everyone laugh. You want to be as invisible as possible, really. Don't try to be nice and give people stuff. They will, at first, make it seem like it makes you cool with them, but it doesn't. It's way louder all the time than you think it would be. There are always people who never seem to sleep. Be prepared to lose privileges because of other idiots. Will happen all the time. Unlike TV and movies, rapes don't happen as much as the jokes have you believe. Lots of gay stuff goes on, but is usually consensual. The people who play dominoes all night long are the worst. For some reason, if you play dominoes, you can't just put the domino on the table. You have to fricking slam it on the goddamn metal table at 3 in the morning. No one is trying to sleep. Keep slamming those dominoes. No one cares. If you slam dominoes on the table while most people are trying to sleep, frick you. Not a long timer here, but show everyone respect. If you bump into someone, it is critical to say, "I'm sorry man, I wasn't paying attention." You never shake hands. You fist bump. You can't be nice to the guards. Just polite. There are a lot more illiterate people than I ever thought possible. My dad did time. Got kitchen duty. Was serving food. Dude said to my pops, you better put more on this plate. My dad knew if he did he would be considered a B. He dropped the dude right in line. Had to go to seg, but when he got out was considered the man of the pod. My 5'11" glasses wearing white father. It makes me smile thinking about it. He died of a brain injury suddenly 2 years ago. The worst thing about prison was the dementors. They were flying all over the place and they were scary, and then they'd come down and they'd suck the soul out of your body and it hurt. Thanks for the advice, Prison Mike. Here is a really important one. Try not to talk about your time or open up about how you are feeling about it. Let's say you are fighting a case, and that case has you doing 16 months. I understand that a lot of people would be stressed about it. I get it. Jail freaking sucks. That being said, try and keep that crap to yourself unless somebody you are cool with asks. Saw some kid that didn't really know how to handle himself in there. Found a race card and was just chilling. On the back end he was fighting a case of involuntary manslaughter, and that's already a red flag. Killed somebody accidentally. Crime was of stupidity. Kid's family had money and a top lawyer, so he was going to do 10 months in county. Not bad at all. He kept asking for advice from jailhouse lawyers, aka regular prisoners, and it started to get annoying. The rep in charge of the Peckerwoods could not take it. White, mid-40s, family man, going to do 10 years for assault, and organized the jumping of this kid. At night 2 men on both sides of the bed covered him in his sleep with a sheet while 2 other men beat the crap out of him. Moral of the story, there is always somebody who is going to do way more time than you and doesn't want to hear your crap. I was in max security juvie. When I was getting screened they asked me, have you ever contemplated suicide ever? Yeah, sure, I've thought of it once or twice. Boom, suicide watch. No clothes, a tarp for a blanket and a tarp wrapped pillow. I was miserable and had to convince whoever was in charge that there was a misunderstanding. I wasn't in very long, but I'm pretty good with authority, so my stint was fairly relaxed. Don't look at people, be respectful, and keep to yourself. I was 15 at the time. Buddy, friend of a friend of mine, did time in Supermax, max and eventually medium. But he said you never want to do county time when you can do state or federal time. County turns over too much. USA. Well, my first night in prison, after lights out, one of the prisoners yelled 63. The entire prison started laughing. I asked my cellmate what I was missing. He told me that they had all been in there so long that they had the same jokes. To save time, they just decided to number them. I asked if I could give it a whirl. I shouted 37. The prison erupted into the most loud laughter I have ever heard. I asked my cellmate what joke I just told and he responded, I don't know, I haven't heard that one before. Prisoners love these 99 jokes. Numbers 63 and 37 will make you howl. I know someone who works for Depth of Corrections, CA. He says drones are where it's at. All kinds of crazy crap is brought in via drone right now, and prisons are busting bust trying to figure out how to make them drone proof. But for the moment it's a huge problem and changes everything about prison rules and behavior. This is possibly the best thread I have ever read on Reddit. It's like watching a prison TV show, just reading these stories. Mad respect to the people who made it out and are getting back into society. Not being able to leave is incredibly frustrating and nearly impossible to put out of your mind. The entire time, part of your mind is raging at your captivity. It's way more boring than people make it out to be. Once I kinda got used to it, became very mundane. I was locked up with this one black dude who was in for shooting another guy over a disagreement in a dice game. He pee a lot of people off but somehow survived 2 murder attempts with shanks. They found out he was allergic to eggs and some guy in the kitchen put some in his food. His windpipe closed and he suffocated to death. I heard about another guy who died over the course of a few weeks as the kitchen staff put tiny glass shards in his food every day. The head Aryan Brotherhood guy was an openly gay rapist. Lucky for me I'm an ugly dude. Little late to the thread, but there are a bunch of things. First, how everyone in there knows each other. Everyone has done time with each other or have seen each other on the streets, and it is like a family reunion with cousins and half-brothers all living together. Enter. Second, how uneducated everyone was. No idea about geography, history, science, or anything. This led to me being a tutor and therefore people taking the GED. Enter. Third, how no one will try to help you and how you need to fill out so much paperwork to get anything accomplished. The paper needs to be passed through 3 or 4 channels to get to the correct person. Enter. Fourth, how much everyone gambles. Sometimes you will enter a unit and everything people gamble on. You wanna play chess, you need to gamble to play. Dominoes, gamble to play. Basketball, gamble. I remember we watched The Bachelor and all had money on what girl the guy would kick off the show. Meanwhile the guard is confused on why 30 people are all watching the Bachelor rose ceremony. Enter. Fifth, that there is a store there and you can get anything you want. The way a store works is that 1 or 2 people in the unit have every possible commissary item you can get. You want a bag of sour cream potato chips? He will give you it and next week you owe him 2 bags. Or you get 2 ramen soups and owe him 3 next week. I will never forget when Hurricane Sandy hit and the unit ran out of coffee. People couldn't function and people stopped working out and coffee throughout the jail was going for crazy prices. I always kept a bag or 2 in my room to trade to the guy at the store for anything I need. During this drought I sold both of my $4 bags of coffee for $14 each. You only need about $10 a week and there to eat good, so that was a great come up. Enter. Sixth, that you will do anything to get outside. By the end of my time I was moved to a minimum security place and got a job cleaning up the projects in a team of 5 people. Had to teach the people in the work crew how to weed whack and use a lawnmower because they had no idea how they worked even though they were almost 30 years old. We were paid $0.12 HR. Some weeks when it would snow we would shovel for 6-7 hours a day outside for 12 cents an hour. And we did it to just be outside. Sometimes we would get pizza from the building manager for helping him. Lucky for me I was able to run the snowblower and didn't have to shovel. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.